Bring your cup and take a seat. Fill it up, coffee, wine, or tea. Come find what you're looking for. A good pour.
Hey there, welcome back to A Good Pour, Summer of Good AI. I'm Kathryn Good, and I'm glad you're here. My guest today is Matt Mundt. Matt has 25 years in digital marketing, including Google Ad grants and Meta ads for nonprofits and Christian artists. He knows how to drive real results for organizations running on tight budgets and a lot of trust. He's also a YouTube creator. He co-hosts a channel called Kid Intern with his 11-year-old son, and he co-founded the God Made Creator Community in Nashville, a monthly meetup for Christian creators that has grown from 6 people at a coffee shop to 40 or 50 a month. In fact, they just announced their first ever God Made Creator Conference, which is going to be October 22nd and 23rd in Nashville. You'll hear more about that in our conversation. What I love about Matt is that he holds 2 things at once. He genuinely worries about AI. He also finds it useful. We talked about his practice of getting his own ideas down before touching any AI tool, what AI is doing to trust and faith communities, and why he pulled an AI-generated intro off his own YouTube channel because he didn't want people wondering what else he outsourced. Join us for this honest conversation about responsible AI use from someone who works in it every day. All right. Well, welcome, Matt. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, so glad to join you today, Kathryn.
You have a lot going on, so I'm just going to let you start and just give a kind of intro into a little bit of your history, but especially what you're working on right now.
Yeah. So I'll kind of condense the history down really quick. So 25 years, digital marketer, worked in the Christian music industry, so record labels and then radio stations, and then also the nonprofit space. So my last normal 9-to-5 job was marketing director for a nonprofit called Cure International. And so, but about 5 years ago, I went on my own, and now I'm doing primarily, so I've always been a digital marketing jack of all trades, but when I went on my own, I realized I got to kind of niche down and figure out what's the most valuable thing I can offer to clients. And I kind of landed on the digital ad space. And so in the nonprofit space, the Google ad grant, Meta ads, and a bunch of different ad platforms if they make sense. And just, trying to drive donations when I'm working with artists, trying to drive ticket sales, merch sales. But yeah, I really love the digital ad side of things just because you get to be creative and analytical and drive bottom line for either a nonprofit or for-profit. And so, yeah. And then most recently been really diving into the YouTube space. That doesn't really pay the bills right now, but it's like, I call it my lab. So I've got my own YouTube channel. I'm working on a channel with my son. That one's actually like really, really fun, and it's starting to take off. And then another one called God Made, where the creator economy is blowing up. Every day you hear about, Mr. Beast is changing the chocolate industry, or this YouTuber just had a blockbuster movie and #1 in the box office. And it all comes back to YouTube and just the you are able to build a tribe and trust and followers on YouTube, I think, better than most platforms. Like I love podcasting, and I still, we're doing a podcast now, but I've just seen when you add the video component, you're able to tell more stories and build these deep relationships. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out the creator economy myself, but it's also been fun to be able to apply it to my clients also.
Yeah. So this podcast is called Summer of Good AI, and we're, as a creator, you have no doubt seen the impact of AI. Just talk a little bit, I guess, when you started, how did you start to notice that this was going to change our world?
Yeah. So this is what's pretty crazy so when did ChatGPT come out? Was that 2024?
November of 2022.
22. Oh my goodness. Okay. So It would have been October of 2022. A buddy of mine, we drove out to the eastern Tennessee, up in the mountains, in the hills, and met an ad guru, like legitimately like an ad guru who taught thousands of people how to run ads. And we're sitting around the fire pit, and he was like, this AI thing is going to radically change how you guys do your digital ads. And I'm like, oh, okay, like I kind of knew what AI was, but not really. And then a month later, ChatGPT comes out, and I start seeing, early days what it can do. And now you look at how fast it's going, and it is going to change everything that's done on a computer. So the story I'll tell with AI, and this is what I've been trying to teach my son. He's 11. We're doing his YouTube channel. It's called Kid Intern. And when we come up with an episode, the lazy way of going about it is just asking Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, hey, what are the questions I should do? Hey, what are the fun scenes we should do in this video? But when you do that, and there's Harvard research coming out, lots of research coming out, you're losing your ability to think, your critical thinking, your creative thinking. And so what I'm trying to teach my son, and I'm preaching to myself when I do this, is no, we're gonna first, like, even sometimes notepad and paper or just typing in a Google Doc, but we're gonna get the ideas out of our brain. We're gonna flex that muscle because one, it should be a joy to be able to do this. This is fun to be able to create these kind of videos and content. But two, if we just outsource it to AI, we're not gonna, it's one, the video's not gonna come across as human, and we're gonna get dumber. We're not gonna be able to keep on getting better at our video and better at our craft. But then what we do is after we get our own ideas out, and I apply this to my client work, like I'm brainstorming an ad campaign for a nonprofit, I'm gonna use the ideas that are in my own brain. And then I go to AI as a brainstorming partner. All right, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm going to do. How would you make this better? What am I missing? And it's always encouraging, when we're planning a video for my son's channel, when it like mentions some of the same ideas that we had, we're like, all right, cool. Maybe we're on a good track here. And then it will bring up another example, another question. We're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then we make it our own. So I'm just really trying to be very conscious of how am I using AI and how am I not. The best analogy I've heard from other YouTube creators is use AI like your Iron Man and Tony Stark. You put it on and it makes you just better and more creative. It's not going to do all the work for you. I'll preface that with yet. I mean, there's definitely things where it's starting to do more and more for us. Yeah. But like, how can we be more creative, or how can we be more efficient? Like I've told my clients, what are the monotonous things in your day-to-day thing that anybody could do? Like an intern, you could train them to do. That's where AI can come in and but then what you're doing is then leaving more room to be more creative, do more human work.
Yes. Amen. That's what I keep saying. Like, what are we going to do with this time savings? And
exactly.
If it's just more work, then we're missing a really big point of this whole thing. Yep. Let's talk about that for a second. The ministry part, you have a lot of interaction with ministries. I'll just say, even at my church, I've seen an increase in AI generated images. One had an extra hand or arm that, was raised up in praise, but it was an extra hand.
Yep.
So, when we see these things, especially in the church, which has its own hard time with developing trust and keeping trust.
Yeah.
What do you say to your ministry partners, or what advice would you give, to especially to organizations that are run on such trust and compassion?
Yeah, this is a very complicated topic because AI is pretty dang good where now I was having a conversation yesterday with someone who works at a large radio ministry, Christian radio ministry, and it's like the video generation now and the image generation is getting to the point where it can almost fool us. Like you'll see something, you'll go, oh, is that real or not? Like our default now is, oh, it's AI. Like my kids will see something and they'll just, if it looks just a little bit off, they're going to call it AI. I'm still trying to, so right now, I think we don't like the idea of it just doing work that has meaning, for whether it's our faith or it's art that's supposed to make you feel something. But this is my prediction. Like we already are starting to see this in the news, even here in Nashville with the data center going in near the zoo. So AI is getting bad press. And then soon we're going to get to, and I hope I'm wrong with this, but soon we're going to start having people losing jobs because of AI. So now it's going to be, oh, that's AI content that's supposed to entertain me, but I don't like that it's taken away my job or my friend's job. I don't like that it put an ugly eyesore of a data center in my neighborhood. And so it's good. You're immediately going to be in that same boat. Like I work with a Christian artist. They had AI make a music video for Christmas last year. And there was a lot of pushback of people going, oh, and it looked like a classic Christmas movie vibe, but people just for some reason don't like that. And so I've been very conscious of it. And, especially YouTube just rolled out a new tool. Like YouTube is not against AI. Like they think there's ways to be using it, but they don't.
I mean, there's creators making millions.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's also creators who have made the millions and then they just got shut down because they were just copying other ideas. They weren't adding their own human touch to it. Yesterday was the first time I actually saw a video that had the little label AI on it. And so for me personally, like as I'm creating content, like I'm scaling back how much, like when my own personal YouTube channel, I use like an AI intro. And you can tell, I mean, it just looks like a motion graphic, it doesn't, but it's like for 2 or 3 seconds, right? But I remove that because I don't want people thinking, well, what other parts of his conversation that he had, and it's a Christian podcast content, YouTube channel. I don't want people in their mind going, well, if he used AI there, where else did he use AI? Like so iHeartMedia, one of the largest radio broadcasters, media companies in America, they're doing a campaign right now called 100% Human, or their 100% Human Promise. And I've been saying this for a couple of years now, like in the Christian space especially, like when we go to the grocery store, you look for like the organic label, the gluten-free label. Like I wonder if we're going to want that when it comes to content that has some meaning in our life. And we're going to want that promise that, you know what, another soul, another human wrote this and did this. I'm passionate about Christian music, and I know some of the biggest songs throughout the years come from people who have gone through a valley. They've gone through a tragic season, but then they write these beautiful songs that reach millions of people. Well, AI can't go through that. And part of the reason these songs resonate with us is because we know the story and the journey that these people had to go through in order to write that song. It's just not going to hit the same. Like when we hear a great song, it might tickle our ears and sound great. But when we find out that, that was an algorithm, that was a large language model that just kind of whipped that up, well, now what? Like,
Right.
it doesn't have any meaning to me. So, yeah.
Well, and I mean, it can make up stories, right? But
Totally.
when you know that it's not a real person, it changes the context and changes your feelings about it. I love that. I talk a lot about having this line, right? Like what is okay, and I think it will depend on businesses. It depends. We have an AI skeptic on our team, and so her line is a little, it's not as far as my line, but it's I like what you said about the YouTube intro. So we might use something AI driven for a part, but we're not going to create 100%, AI podcast. That's a line too far for us. And so, but I do think that's the question we have to start asking ourselves, because you're right. We're leaning into this world of, we don't know if it's true or not, or if it's real or not. And that's a scary place to be, especially when we all start to look alike, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, and that's why a lot of people, like a couple trends that I'm watching right now is live streaming. Live streaming is starting to take off. And some people speculate it's because it has all the flaws and errors in it, and it's not perfectly polished. Like this is before AI even. Like we're getting worn out seeing everyone with their perfectly curated social media content, So now when it's live streaming, you just got to say what you're saying, and flaws and all. I think people resonate with that. And what was my other statement? Oh, there's another thought. I lost it. That's because I'm doing too much AI in my brain.
No, I mean, I think it's that, and I also think, I like writing. I get tired of it, and so, especially if I'm trying to write a hard email, or I need a different way to think. Sometimes I'll go, but I need to make sure that I'm protecting that 2 hours of time where I'm journaling and actually writing, and it not just be on the computer. And some of those kind of lines and boundaries we have to set for ourselves, and then we have to set for our organizations. So I mean, like if a church or a nonprofit that you're working with, they come to you and they're like, hey Matt, we know we can use AI for this. What have you started helping them identify these lines, or what's okay and what's not, or do you just kind of push back in general, or what's been your thought process?
Yeah, real quick, I remember my second point.
Okay,
my other trend that
please.
I'm watching, live events. People love to get together now, like especially post-COVID. Like we are going, I crave that community. I mean, so I can watch all the best training on YouTube. I can listen to the podcast, all this content, but there's nothing like getting in the room with a fellow YouTuber, looking them in the eye, and like, what's your experience? Well, here's my experience, and we share. I mean, so that's where I'm working on a conference called the God Made Creator Conference with a buddy of mine, and we've seen it here locally in Nashville. We just do a free meetup once a month, and people come out of the woodworks because they can learn all the stuff that they are getting told in these meetups, but they don't get that community. They don't get the person cheering them on. They don't get the person saying, hey, make sure you do this next week. And so, But to your question about what I'm telling my clients, I'm telling everything I just told you. It's like, let's not outsource our creativity. Let's use it to enhance what we're doing. But like, so I manage a couple YouTube channels for some of my clients, and there's monotonous work, like coming up with the chapters throughout a video. Well, I can take the transcript of the video, put it in a Gemini, and say, hey, come up with the chapters. Now I go through and I change some of the titles of what they're putting on these chapter markers on YouTube, or like YouTube video description. Like there's things on YouTube, like you just kind of, nobody reads those YouTube video descriptions. It's more for SEO now. But sometimes you say, click in the link below, click in the details below to find the link to learn more about whatever. But same thing, I put in the transcript. If it's like a 1 hour podcast, it will give me just a good summary of the conversation. I'll tweak it a little bit, and it puts in the links and that there just saved me 10, 15, 20 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting you say that. So as part of this, we're doing an experiment. I've asked the person who does art editing to use Descript as much as possible, just as an experiment. Like, what did it save you time? Were the edits as smooth as you would want? Or could, if you have taken it outside and used something else, would they have been better? And he's, excited may not have been the right word at first, but I also, I think, and I don't think he was threatened. He knows that, I'm going to keep working with him, but it is, I just wanted to experiment. Like at the end of this, can we say, what the AI was good for and what the person was good for, right? And I think, and we're definitely using it for, we will take this transcript and help us do the description and what's the title that's gonna resonate the most. I'm definitely doing it for guest research and once we book someone to help me know what is the angle that we can talk about. And so I think there's a lot of things, but I would never replace this conversation, right? And conversations that you and I may work together, or I may come to this God made thing, and that all becomes because we talked, right?
Exactly.
And I just,
it wasn't because my AI podcast listened to your AI podcast, and then our AI digest said, hey, you guys should talk. Like, we met at Social Media Marketing World. We met at an event. And so I really hope, I got to believe that we're going to still crave human connection.
Absolutely.
Like, the people who the one thing that really frustrates me is, like, if I open up my Instagram feed, I'm going to get these people who are advertising to me a fully automated YouTube channel, fully automated Google ads, Meta ads. Well, the thing that they don't tell you is that they don't have an established brand that they got to maintain. So they don't care if AI is making horrible ad copy, horrible creative, horrible targeting. They can automate that all. I can't go to my client who has 2 million Facebook followers and say, I'm just going to let AI do it. Like, no, they're hiring me because they know I know their audience. They know I know their brand. Now, I say all this, like, AI is definitely getting better. So, like, thumbnails is a really big thing in the YouTube space. Like, there are full-time thumbnail designers because if people don't click on your video, they're not going to watch it. So you have to spend a lot of time on it. Well, I'm, like, dangerous in Photoshop. Like, I know Photoshop. I'm more Canva now. But there's a service called oneof10.com, and it's incredible. Like, I can literally type, or I use Whisperflow where I just talk to my computer.
Yes.
I've got in my brain, I know exactly the thumbnail I want. Like, I'll just give this example. This was what blew my mind. Because a lot of times, like, up until a couple months ago, I would use AI to, like, get ideas, and then I would finish it in Canva. I would do more work, and it would take, a half hour, sometimes longer, because I know how important a thumbnail is. Well, about a month and a half ago, I had an episode with my son, and he had interviewed the local police department. And in my mind, I'm thinking, perfect thumbnail is 10-year-old, smiling, happy, with a cop car behind him with lights going and his hands up in handcuffs. I'm like, I would click on that. Like, what the heck? And so we didn't get that photo when we were interviewing the police officer. But I was able to take an image of my son in his orange shirt. I had an image of the police car from our video. I loaded those in, and I literally just talked, and everything I just told you, and I just described what I wanted. And first try, it did it. So in
Gemini?
No, in 1 of 10.
Oh,
so
1 of 10. Yeah.
So
okay.
Gemini, the reason I love this 1 of 10 is they've built out all the prompts to optimize for YouTube thumbnail. Like, it probably would have been just fine if I went in Gemini, but this service is like created all the stuff under the hood that I don't have to think about that. I don't have to think about prompting. I just have to go, I've got the idea in my brain, let me pour. And that's where we're going with AI, is people are going to build specialized apps where you don't have to be a prompt engineer and you don't have to be nerdy in all the ways that you tell it to create something. And so that was just like this eye opener for me, where I was able to get a world-class thumbnail in all of 2 minutes,
Right.
something that would have taken me at least an hour, or I would have paid at least a couple $100 to a professional to like massage it and make it look great. And
Right.
it
Or
did it
having
so
to like restage the photo, like,
so
you
exactly,
know? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's, you know, it, it's here and it's getting better. And so, like I feel bad for the YouTube thumbnail artist who didn't get my business now, but I feel great about, I got my hour back. I got a couple $100 back, like,
Right.
and that's
Right.
just the world. And that's where we got to be experimenting with it, like
But you
with
also,
guardrails.
are, I talk a lot about this, that, I like to write. I enjoy writing. I'm fairly good at it. I don't need to have
Yeah.
AI rewrite my stuff.
Yeah.
At least the parts I enjoy, right? There's some writing that I would rather not do, right? But then there's this area, kind of like what you're talking about, of things that we know a little bit about. What makes a good YouTube thumbnail. You know what should be there. And so therefore you can use a tool to enhance your own knowledge, right? But then there's this other bucket of things, I don't know anything about. And so
Yeah.
it's hard for me to use AI to know if it's a good judge, because I don't know if what it's telling me is true, right? And so that's when I would want to go to a YouTube expert like yourself, or and just say, is this right? And I
Well,
think as human, we can't take away each other's strengths.
mhm.
That we're an interest that God gave us, right? But
Yeah.
it's how do we know kind of when we're out of our bucket, if you will.
Well, and we become more and more, the more important thing for us is our taste. And are we able to figure out like that story, that thumbnail, that ad copy that's going to resonate with someone? AI is great at cranking out a bunch of it, but we still need to go through it. So like for YouTube titles, for example, I usually have a pretty good idea of what I want, but I want to see what AI spits out. And it'll spit out 10 different ones. And I've told it, here's some articles from YouTube title experts, so it's remembered that. Here's the titles that have worked best on my stuff. So it's just remembering all of it, but I'm still fully involved with it.
Right.
And I'm not
Right.
going to just, go with the first thing that AI gives me. And so, yeah.
We talked a little bit about YouTube. What about the Google ad space?
Yeah.
One, we're seeing a decrease in search traffic, like that goes directly to the websites. So like this 0-click idea that you go
Yeah.
into AI, you ask for something, you never hit Google, you never hit websites. So what is that doing to Google ads in your mind? And what do you see changing in the next months to years?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the topic what you're searching for. Now, if it's like a simple mathematical question or like more just data and information, you're going to be losing a lot of traffic. But if you're in the category of content, storytelling, entertain me, searching for that, I think you're going to be better off served. So the Google Ad Grant, you're familiar with that, where
Yes.
nonprofits get lots of traffic. And the one thing that I've learned is the more like finding tangential topics to your core audience. So like I've set up the Google Ad Grant for, at this point, probably 20 different Christian radio stations. And so like their goal, they want people to come listen to their Christian music. Like that's what they do. But there's plenty of other articles and topics and content that we can create. So here's the perfect example. There's one radio station that I had worked with that one of their pastors had written a blog post about, will my pet go to heaven? And so I set that up as a Google Ad Grant, and it just went gangbusters. I mean, it brought in thousands of clicks. Well, guess what? Like those people were not thinking about listening to their local Christian radio station or listening to Christian music at all, but they were thinking of something spiritual. They were thinking about like their pet had just died. They're thinking about heaven. Well, now you get to listen to a Christian radio station that's playing songs about that. And so the key is like finding, there's like keywords and search terms that are little gold nuggets. And once you find them, they turn into great traffic. And that's where it also is like your ad copy's got to hook someone's attention. You got to, like in the YouTube world, you got clickbait, like with your ads, you got to, and people a lot of times go, clickbait's bad. No, it's not. It's bad when you promise one thing and you deliver something else, when you're
Right.
misleading. You want to bait people, like you want to give them a reason to click on your Google ad. And so it's got to resonate with what was your initial search intention, and then say, oh, we've got, like I will put sometimes watch this video or listen to this podcast because people want media. Like most people don't want to go read a large blog anymore, right? Like if there's a play button on the page, that's what they want to do. And so I'll even put that in my ad copy so that people go, oh, okay, this is something that I can listen to or watch and give me the answer. So
Yeah. So I would love to hear more about the God Made conference, but the community in Nashville, it's a monthly gathering. And so talk about how that started, and then specifically, is there anything, I'm coming, I can't come tonight, but I'm coming. What, if you're talking about AI and kind of a values, not time savings, not strategy, but this, is there anything that keeps resonating or people keep bringing up from the faith standpoint when it comes to AI? But start first to just how it came together.
Yeah. So how it came together 3 years ago, me and a buddy, so Brandon, he's kind of my co-partner in this. We were both at Vid Summit in Dallas, Texas. So large video creator conference put on every single year. And when you go to any conference, there's always an app and you can do meetups where you meet, fellow creators. And so they had all these different, fellow kid channels, woodworking channels. Well, one of them was a morning Bible study. So Brandon and I went one morning and we're like, oh, this is our people. This is kind of fun. We can talk about storytelling and YouTube thumbnails and YouTube strategy, but then do a little Bible study and encourage each other. So we were like, wait, there is a lot of creatives in Nashville. And I think Nashville is definitely more creatives per capita than most cities. But I also think that in every city in America, there are many people who have a podcast idea, a YouTube channel, a vision in their heart that they want to start. So we started in Nashville, just telling friends, and it's just grown. It started 6 of us at a local coffee shop, and then we started meeting at the Way FM radio headquarters, 20, 30 people, and now we're like 30 to 40, sometimes 50 people a month. And it's a blend of it's a mastermind. So, I mean, what I love about it is there's people who sit in our circle who are full-time creators, full-time on YouTube, full-time putting on conferences, full-time, whatever it might be in the creator space. And then there's people who come in who don't really understand what this is, but they know they got a great idea. And those are the best people because they got an idea. Now they just need to know some of the tools and tactics to be able to go out and do it. So yeah, we've been doing it about 3 years, and we decided a couple months ago, let's do this beyond just Nashville. Like I've talked to people, creatives in other cities and states, and they're like, man, I wish I could do this. And so and so now we're going to do a conference, going to be a day and a half, our first year. And we're going to have people from the short form content space, so one guy, Rob Clark, he has That Tall Family. He's generated over 5 billion views on social media over the last 5 years. Like biggest brand deals you can imagine. We've got Tim Schmoyer, he's like kind of the OG YouTube coach. He sold his company to vidIQ, but just as like he has coached some of the biggest names in the YouTube space. But everybody through the lens of faith, because again, we want to kind of foster that environment of like, all right, I know these are my peers. Like if I need to ask for prayer, I can ask for prayer. If I need help with a thumbnail, I can do that. And that's kind of where we're kind of niching down, and just there's something beautiful when you get in a room with your people. You find your tribe, and So yeah, we're building this thing as we go. Like our goal year one is like, let's just get proof of concept. We know the creator economy continues to explode. The ad dollars are rushing to YouTubers and podcasters and TikTokers and Instagrammers. But there's a lot of things, like there's like some pitfalls there. Like how do you not let your identity or your emotions be tied to your subscribers and your likes and followers? And like as a Christian, how do we do this? And we don't want to be only the content creator who's preaching to the choir. Like there's also the Christian who is just doing great wholesome content. Like our dream guest is to have like either Dude Perfect or Ryan Trahan, 2 guys who love Jesus, but their content is just fun, and their goal is not to like do the Sunday morning altar call. Their goal is just to create great fun content that doesn't make you feel empty and doesn't make you feel, like comparison. And so, yeah.
So is the conference going to be in Nashville? Do you know?
Yeah, Nashville.
Okay.
October 22nd, 23rd. We're going to, godmadecreators.com. We'll have it up there soon. So we're like.
Awesome. Okay.
We're close to getting one last keynote. I wish I could say his name, but like if we can get him, we're going to be like freaking. I mean, so Brandon and I, we are selfishly building our dream YouTube video creator conference, and so
that's amazing.
I'll
get it on my calendar for sure. All right, so any kind of underlining things that are coming from that community when it comes to AI?
Man, So we joke. I mean, every single month we meet up, there's always a conversation about AI. I think it's interesting how, a year ago, the person who said I'll never use AI are now open to it. But I do think the biggest, since we call it God made, we always remind people it's a gift to be able to be creative and do creative work. So if you come at it from that perspective, it makes it much easier to like have those guardrails on and go, I'm going to play around with this video creation tool, but like make sure that it doesn't you're not trying to be lazy. You're actually, can it make you better? And so probably 95% of the AI stuff I generate, I don't publish out there. It just is like, it's the ultimate brainstorming partner. So keeping AI in its place. Now, I would also say I'm probably like an AI doomer. Like I don't like where we're gonna go with AI. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm living in that tension of I also am gonna be left behind. Like my son's YouTube channel, if it wasn't for AI, like some of these thumbnails that are just crushing and getting thousands of views, like it's a blessing. Like I've enjoyed doing it, and so.
But it's dangerous, right? Like
Sure.
I talked this morning, like it is a choice if we're going to become like Wall-E or not,
Yes.
right? It
Yeah.
it is a choice. Just like I think, we were created to create.
Yeah.
And so are we going to create more, and are we going to create things that only humans can create, like community and relationships and trust and try to think outside the box to solve real world problems?
Yes.
Or are we just gonna, AI is really good at saying, do you also want to do this? And do we just stay and do the next thing that it recommends and stop using our brains? But again, I think we have to be really aware. And we didn't do that well with social media. We have not been aware of.
Bingo.
Right. And so
that's what scares me as I go, we are just now kind of understanding what social media does to our brains, what it does to our kids. And so now we're going to have this all knowing thing in our pocket. And like, how much do we outsource that? Like there's a lot of philosophical, there's a lot of spiritual things that I just go, I don't think this is good for society. Like, yes, we're going to have breakthroughs in medical things. There's going to be a lot of things like, and it's fun right now. Like it's very fun to like generate a funny video of me wearing, whatever. Like I can do these super fun things, but like I hope we learned our lesson from social media, but I just don't think because the people who are doing this, they're just full on going for it.
Well, yes. And it's, social media, there was a lot of lessons on values, right?
Yes.
Is this a world value or is this a God, how do we think about this? And I mean, my dad, I joke, he likes to use AI to help him plan his Sunday school lessons, and which is great if the Bible verses truly meant what AI is saying them mean, right? And so if you don't have enough knowledge or enough context we can go back to the Bible and see what happened before and after, right? So, but we have to do those things, or it does kind of make things up, and then and it's really easy to get an opinion. But are we going to it to get an opinion when we should be going to God to get the opinion? To get talk to God and be in prayer, or so that's where it gets.
If it's 1% off each time you ask it, before you know it, you've created a cult. Before you know, and this is with faith, but now if you're going to it for life advice, like there's so many things where it doesn't have that discernment. And to your point, it wants to give you an answer. Well, you know what? Sometimes the best times when we don't have an answer, and we got to wrestle with it more. And we have to think about it. And that's how we get formed as humans. That's how we get formed in our faith. And those are the questions that I just don't think enough people are asking. Because again, when you look at the landscape of AI, it's like 4 or 5 AI labs. And it's a race. Like they are in a race to beat each other, and then it's in a race to beat China.
Yes.
Yep. And so when you put that over all of it, like their conscience, it quickly goes out the door. It's like, no, we got to beat them. We don't want to be blown up by China. Well, we gotta take the rails off here. We got to go all out. And it's like, this is.
And so again, going back to social media, the regulations and the standards had to come personal and inside families, inside schools. And so we have to be quick. And which is why I love, this is the reason the podcast is happening this summer, because we're not talking enough about it. And I for one, am glad to see center protests because it does help us to go, whoa. Like I was I was talking about this at a book club and they're like, oh, I hadn't thought about how AI uses energy. And I'm like, oh gosh, because we're not talking about it, right? We're not, it's just not in our everyday conversations. Yes, it's in the industry and people like me, but it's just, I mean, we've got to raise some awareness somehow and talk about the decisions that we need to be, personally making before we interact with it.
Yeah, I mean, from parenting to professional life, like the answer is not put your head in the sand, but the answer is also not going all in and just going, this is going to radically change my life. Like we got to live in that tension and we have to have our own personal convictions of what are our own personal lines, and then hope and pray that people way further ahead of us up in the food chain also have some personal convictions.
or develop them somehow,
or at some point, like, does God just say, all right, taking out the electricity grid? Like, I read an article recently, like I forget the exact scientific term, but if there's actually a good chance, like some solar flare could like wipe out electricity or something like that. And I'm like, whether it's God or not, like, more days than not, I go, man, would we be better if we were just not with AI? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's a really good, in businesses, I mean, I'm cautioning businesses when we're building tools in one particular platform and then it's not documented or you're not using your skills or you don't have a human anymore that knows those things. What happens when that platform goes down, even just for a day? You're out of business, right? And so,
well, what happens?
Not totally. You just can't work that day, but we can't lose who we are and our skills and all this. Yes, use AI to amplify it, but even that amplification has to be documented somewhere if you want to use it again, right? So I don't know.
Well,
it's crazy.
I feel like we're like kind of trashing AI. Like I think we know we do love it. I want to share one just very practical. I love practical tips. I was doing this last night. So my favorite AI right now is Gemini. I'm kind of sticking with Gemini because I use Gmail, Google Calendars. I think Google's long run, they're gonna win, probably. Nobody knows. And YouTube is part of Google. So like as I'm growing YouTube channels, I want to do it. But I have been playing around with Claude Cowork, and Claude Cowork has a Chrome extension. And whenever I'm in WordPress, like sometimes I have to update a website for someone or meta ads or anything where you're like, it's just technical solution. Like you need to figure it out. I am now no longer just going to YouTube, how do I do this, or finding a blog about it. I asked Claude Cowork, hey, I need to update this code snippet on this website. I hadn't been in this website for like a year, so I totally forgot how it was set up. So I literally did it. I have another browser up on my other computer monitor, and it went and it found exactly where I needed to go. I put in the new image, the new code snippet, and I didn't have to spend the 5 or 10 minutes figuring it out. Last night, I had 2 browsers going, Claude Cowork. I had 2 different ad accounts open, and there was 2, like I just couldn't figure it out, probably because I was tired and working too late. But I was like, how do I do this? How do I do this? I was taking care of emails on my computer, and on my 2 monitors, Claude Cowork was figuring it out, and it gave me the answer. So those are the examples where it's like, it's saving me time. I was able to do human work and reply to people. And so, I love it. I mean, I'm teaching. I thought about it this morning, but there's a guy who he'd not even done a chat in ChatGPT as of this morning. Right. Like, and I'm like, wow. And he wants to start a business, and we just got to do a very early business plan in 5 minutes. I mean, and not just, the time savings there, but almost an inspiration in that I can do this. Yeah.
And, and it's, I don't know, there's so many good things, but it is, if we're not talking about the extremes and the bad, we can't draw lines, and we can't be the voices in the room that are saying, whoa, wait a minute. So anyway, Matt, I'm grateful that you're fostering community. It was not like I taught this morning, and it was not a faith-based community, but it was enough to go, this extra time, it's worth to be in more rooms like this. And even if all you're doing is talking about how else you could use AI, right? Like you're learning from each other. Yeah. I don't know. I think you're right. I think community is going to be way more important as we move forward, because we need it. And we're working so much and doing great things in the world, but a lot of times it's behind these computers. And so if we can free up some of that time, how do we get into community more? But you're right. We're going to have to know what's right and what's wrong, or what's real and what's not. And when I'm standing in this conversation, I know you're real, and I know someone else is real when we're in person, and I just think we're going to need that.
And I think that's a good thing. Like, I think
Yeah.
the more we're connected with each other, like that's beautiful. And actually, that was another problem of social media, is it was really easy to trash the opposing side and forget that there's another human behind that.
Yeah.
You know, and it just becomes mudslinging. And so, yeah.
Yeah, what was designed to connect us has divided us.
Exactly. Well, and it has connected. It's done both.
Yes,
at the
it's
same
done
time.
both. Yes.
Yeah, and that's going to be the same thing with AI. Is like we're going to see more innovation. Like I am more creative now than ever before because it's enabling me so many things. The work I'm doing for my clients, I know is better because I've created, like, I'm bouncing ideas off AI instead of having to talk to another human all the time. Like I still love to brainstorm in person, but I'm able to come to the table with even more ideas. Like I'll talk to my AI when I'm driving to a client meeting and just like, here's my ideas. I spew them out. What am I missing? What are the holes in
Right.
that? What are some other
Right.
stuff? And yes, like most of those ideas that AI gives me back, I'm like, that wouldn't work. That's not going to work. But sometimes that one idea that it comes with will, like, and you can iterate it on it, but it just is what you needed. Is that spark that you needed. And so, yeah.
And then, like you said, you can add to it. It could end up
a
totally
starting point.
different.
Yeah.
But it was a starting point that you didn't have to generate, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
well, thank you for being on.
For sure.
I appreciate the work you're doing, and I am going to get down to Franklin and come to a God made.
Come on down. We got one. We try and do it every third Thursday of the month. So that's kind of our cadence right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if anyone is in Nashville and would like to join us, because I'm getting there. So.
Yep. GodMadeCreators.com.
And a conference coming up in October.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Matt, for being on.
Thank you.